Hello, students of English literature. I hope you are doing well. Today, we are going to read a topic from the age of Milton. The topic is Milton's poetry. Let us read. The great bulk of Milton's poetry was written during two periods separated from each other by 20 years. The period of his university career and his stay at Horton from 1629 to 1640, and the second phase is the last years of his life from about 1660 to 1674. The years between were filled by a few sonnets. While still an undergraduate, Milton began to compose poems of remarkable maturity and promise. They include the fine and stately Ode on the morning of Christ's Nativity, and the poems on Shakespeare, and a sonnet on arriving at the age of 23. These poems show Milton's command of impressive diction and his high ideals, both literary and religious. While at Horton, probably in 1632, he composed El Allegro and Il Penseroso, two longish poems on octosyllabic couplet, dealing with the respective experiences of the gay and thoughtful man. The pieces are decorative rather than descriptive, artificial rather than natural, but they are full of scholarly fancy and adroit poetical phrasing. Comus belongs to this period and is a masque containing some stiff but beautiful blank verse and some quite charming lyrical measures. Then comes Lycidas, 1637, is an elegy on his friend Edward King, who was drowned on a voyage to Ireland. The real subject of the poem, however, is the uncertainty and torment occasioned on Milton's mind by his realization that death might forestall the achievement of the fame which was his ambition. In its varying moods, we see the interplay of doubt, fear, anger, and finally a peaceful reliance on the belief that true fame rests on God and is only to be found in heaven. It is this underlying subject which gives the poem its passionate sincerity. Lycidas, which is to be reckoned as among the highest of Milton's achievements, is something quite new in English poetry. In form, it is pastoral, but this artificial medium serves only to show the power of Milton's grip, which can wring from intractable material the very essence of poetry. The elegy Lycidas has the color and music of the best Spenserian verse. But it has a climbing majesty of epithet and a dignified intensity of passion that Spenser does not possess. Its meter is an irregular stanza sequence and rhyme sequence of a peculiar haunting beauty. Number two, the last period. This period, 1660 to 1674, gives us the poetry of the matured Milton. The work of the middle years is composed of a few sonnets. These, with some others written at different times, sufficiently show Milton's command of the Italian form which he uses throughout. The best of Milton's sonnets are on his blindness and on the last massacre in Piedmont. The great work of this time is Paradise Lost. It was begun as early as 1658 and issued in 1667. At first, it was divided into 10 books or parts, but in the second edition, it was redivided into 12. In form, it follows the strict unity of the classical epic. In theme, it deals with the fall of man, but by means of introduced narratives, it covers the rebellion of Lucifer in heaven, the celestial warfare, and the expulsion of the rebels. In conception, the poem is spacious and commanding. It is sumptuously adorned with all the detail that Milton's rich imagination, fed with classical and biblical lore, can suggest. The characters, especially that of Lucifer, are drawn on a gigantic scale and do not lack a certain tragic immensity. And the blank verse in which the work is composed is new and wonderful. This type of blank verse has founded a tradition in English. It has often been imitated and modified but never paralleled. It lacks the suppleness of the Shakespearean measure, but it is instinct with beauty and scholarly care. It is almost infinite in modulation, varied cunningly in scansion, in pause, in cadence, and in sonorous dignity of music. It has its lapses into wordiness and bombast, but the lapses are few indeed. In 1671, Milton issued his last volume of poetry, which contained Paradise Regained and Samson Agonistes. The former poem, which tells of Christ's temptation and victory, is complementary to the earlier epic, and Milton hoped that it would surpass its predecessor. In this, his hopes were dashed. It is briefer and poorer than Paradise Lost. It lacks the exalted imagination, the adornment, and the ornate rhythms of the earlier poem. There is little action. The characters are uninteresting, and the work approaches Paradise Lost only in a few outstanding passages. Samson Agonistes, which tells of Samson's death while a prisoner of the Philistines, has a curious interest, for in this biblical hero, Milton saw more than one resemblance to himself. In form, the work has the strict unity of time place, and action universal in Greek tragedy. In style, it is bleak and bare, in places harsh and forbidding. Thanks for listening, my friends.